November 21st, 2023, Changpeng Zhao, known as CZ to millions, stood before a federal judge in Seattle. The man who built the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange from his apartment was about to lose everything he'd worked for. In a single day, CZ would plead guilty to money laundering charges. Binance would pay $4.3 billion to the Department of Justice, and the crypto industry would never be the same. But here's what the headlines don't tell you. This wasn't just about one man's downfall. This was the moment the federal government decided to finally crack down on the Wild West of digital finance, and the total cost, over $8.7 billion in penalties across multiple agencies. This is the story of how the crypto king lost his crown.
More tech intrigue now. The boss of the world's biggest crypto exchange has resigned and pleaded guilty to breaking US anti-money laundering laws. Changpeng Zhao is one of the world's most powerful figures in crypto after co-founding his company Binance, but has been forced to reach a settlement with US authorities, which include billions of dollars in penalties.
To understand how CZ built an empire worth $32 billion, we need to go back to where it all started. Changpeng Zhao was born in 1977 in China, moved to Canada, and graduated from McGill University with a computer science degree. Like many tech entrepreneurs, he started at the bottom, working as a programmer at Bloomberg in Tokyo, earning what he later called a normal salary. But CZ had something most programmers didn't: timing. In 2014, CZ made a decision that would change everything. He sold his house in Shanghai and bought Bitcoin. At the time, Bitcoin was worth around $600. By 2017, it had exploded to nearly $20,000. CZ wasn't just riding the wave, he was creating it. July 2017, CZ launched Binance with just $15 million raised through an initial coin offering. While other exchanges were struggling with technical problems and security breaches, CZ focused on one thing: making trading simple. Within 90 days, Binance had 2 million users. By the end of 2017, it was processing more trading volume than Coinbase, Kraken, and Bitfinex combined. But here's where the story gets interesting and where the problems began. CZ built Binance with a simple philosophy: move fast, break things, ask for forgiveness later. This worked brilliantly for user acquisition, but it created massive regulatory blind spots. Unlike traditional financial institutions, Binance didn't implement robust know-your-customer procedures or anti-money laundering controls. CZ argued that crypto was borderless and shouldn't be subject to traditional banking regulations. But the world doesn't work that way. Every country has laws about money laundering, sanctions compliance, and consumer protection. And Binance was processing transactions from every single one of them. By 2021, Binance was processing $76 billion in daily trading volume. The problem? Regulators had no idea who was using the platform or what they were doing with their money. By 2022, multiple federal agencies had Binance in their crosshairs, but they weren't working alone. This is where the story gets technical, and where CZ's empire began to crumble. The Department of Justice, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, the Office of Foreign Assets Control, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission were all investigating Binance. But they weren't competing, they were coordinating. FinCEN focused on AML violations. Binance had failed to implement adequate controls to detect money laundering. OFAC investigated sanctions violations. Binance had processed transactions for users in Iran, Syria, and North Korea. CFTC looked at unregistered derivatives. Binance was offering crypto futures and options without proper registration. November 21, 2023, CZ faced the music. In a Seattle courthouse, CZ pleaded guilty to failing to maintain an effective anti-money laundering program. The charges were serious. Binance had facilitated over $800 million in transactions with sanctioned entities and had failed to report suspicious activities. But here's the shocking part. CZ's personal penalty was just $50 million. The real cost was borne by Binance itself. Here's the breakdown. $3.4 billion to FinCEN for AML violations, $968 million to OFAC for sanctions violations, $2.7 billion to CFTC for unregistered derivatives operations, and $50 million personal penalty for CZ. Total cost to Binance $8.7 billion in a single day. But CZ's problems weren't over. As part of his plea deal, he had to resign as CEO of Binance. In April 2024, he began serving a 4-month prison sentence in a minimum security facility in California. The crypto king had fallen, but the story wasn't over. With CZ in prison, Binance needed a new face. Enter Richard Teng, a former Abu Dhabi regulator who had been serving as Binance's head of regional markets. Teng's mission was clear: transform Binance from a regulatory nightmare into a compliant financial institution. Under his leadership, Binance implemented comprehensive KYC procedures, enhanced AML monitoring systems, sanctions screening technology, and regular compliance audits. The results? Trading volumes stabilized, regulatory relationships improved, and Binance maintained its position as the world's largest crypto exchange. CZ remained the majority owner but stepped away from day-to-day operations. But the plot twist came in October 2025, when President Trump granted CZ a full pardon. The reasoning? Trump's administration argued that the penalties were excessive and that CZ had already served his time.
60 Minutes that aired last night, he reiterated a striking admission about the pardon.
Why did you pardon him?
Okay, are you ready? I don't know who he is. I know he got a 4-month sentence or something like that, and I heard it was a Biden witch hunt. I can only tell you this. My sons are into it. I'm glad they are, because it's probably a great industry, crypto.
The crypto markets rallied on the news, with Bitcoin reaching new highs. CZ returned to public life, though he maintained a lower profile than before. While CZ's story dominates the headlines, thousands of Binance employees lost their jobs during the regulatory overhaul. Customers who had trusted Binance with their assets faced weeks of uncertainty as the company restructured. More broadly, the Binance case sent shockwaves through the entire crypto industry. Every exchange, every crypto company, every DeFi protocol had to reassess their regulatory compliance. The message was clear: crypto was no longer the Wild West. The federal government was watching, and they had teeth. So what does the Binance collapse tell us about the future of digital finance? First, the era of move fast and break things in finance is over. Whether you like it or not, crypto companies must comply with the same rules as traditional banks. Second, the $8.7 billion penalty shows that regulators can and will impose massive fines. This isn't just about Binance, it's about setting an example for the entire industry. Third, CZ's story is a cautionary tale about the price of regulatory non-compliance. He went from crypto's most powerful figure to federal prison in less than 2 years. Even his recent pardon doesn't erase the lessons learned. The real winners here are the victims, the customers who lost money, the employees who lost jobs, and the global financial system that became more stable because of this crackdown. Binance survived, but it changed forever, and so did the entire cryptocurrency industry. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another deep dive into the corporate scandals that shaped our world.